classical guitar.
Sure. And I mean, do you own a Taylor guitar
I don't.
at the moment?
I don't, but I'm looking to.
Yeah, sure. Why not? They're good. They're great guitars, man.
You sound biased.
No. I'm just saying. Well, I had tried good Taylor guitars before, and they have that sound, man. I'm telling you. Oh, it's right there underneath the tape. And dude, you play great.
I think the longer I played, the more I realized that it's just beneficial to practice the stuff that you suck at. Whatever you're not good at, practice that the most.
Right.
And like, I was bad at finger picking, so I got out some finger picking songs. I learned like Blackbird and Pink Floyd song that's eluding me right now. I can't think of Goodbye Blue Sky. That's a really cool song. It's not complicated. The timing's a little intricate if you're playing it as a one person because it's usually two guitar parts, but stuff like that. And then the bluegrass thing is a great example. Like, I was terrible at emulating any of that country kind of sound, and I was like, you know what? Like, after finding some musicians that I like Billy Strings and Tony Rice and all that, I was like, this is something that is going to help my guitar playing. So I struggled through it for a while until I got better. And then like I went to go play some of the stuff that I used to play.
Yeah. That happens to me now. So I would go back and listen to people like Richard Blackmore, if you remember him.
Okay. I'm drawing a blank, but I've heard the name.
Well, Richard Blackmore is from Deep Purple. You know.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, of course, man. Well, I mean, he has some really interesting playing style, man. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't speak on that much, but obviously a brand name.
You're right. By the way, Dave, who are some of the early blues guitars that significantly influenced your playing?
Blues guitarist, that's a good one. So
you mentioned B.B. King earlier.
Yeah, I had a stepfather growing up that was big into blues, and he didn't play an instrument at all, but he loved a ton of good blues guitar players. And I always remember like walking into a room that he was in or whatever, and it's like Buddy Guy or Johnny Lang or like, you know, just people I've never heard of before. And I heard the guitar playing, and I'm like, dang, who is this? And then I would like learn more about it. And he actually took me out to the Chesapeake Bay Blues Festival a couple times in Maryland. And I saw Johnny Lang play when he was like 15 years old. And it was just like, wow, because he plays almost all upstrokes. Like he plays like,
are you kidding me?
Like this weird, like,
wow, I didn't know that.
But he kills it. And
where is he now, by the way?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all. And actually, like, I've never even had like a Johnny Lang album. It's just like a guitar player that I ran into. Duarte is another person. I can't remember his first name, but Duarte, I think I'm pronouncing it right.
Duarte. Okay.
It's his last name. I saw him play at this like intimate little place in Annapolis, and damn, I can't remember the dude's first name.
Duarte.
But he totally killed it. And I was like, man, I need to learn 12-bar blues a little bit better, I think.
Sure.
But I mean, obviously, like, Stevie Ray Vaughan is one of my favorite guitar players ever.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Even the influences of Stevie Ray are some of my favorite guitar players, like the Wes Montgomery, Freddie King, Albert King. All three of the Kings amazing for different reasons. So nowadays there's a guy I listen to who's like a new age blues player who I don't think a lot of people even know about, or maybe wouldn't like as much as me, but he's clearly like jazz trained a little bit, and he just has these really cool old school lines, like not new age necessarily, but like plays old school jazz licks in blues context, and just does it masterfully. And his name's Matt Schofield, and he's from like the UK, I think.
Matt
and,
Schofield. Okay.
yeah, and I've seen him live a handful of times. I've actually gotten to talk to him for like 20 or 30 minutes in Maryland,
Wow.
in between a set break, and you
Wow,
know,
cool.
his roadie found out that me and a group of guys were from PRS, and we ended up hanging out with him for a little bit, and like,
Nice.
he's just a down to earth guy. But yeah, if you haven't heard Matt Schofield play, check him out.
All right, guys, you heard that? Yeah, cool, man. Your band, Fake Flowers, Real Dirt. And how did you come up with that name, by the way? Interesting name, man.
Yeah, that was the singer's
Idea?
That was the singer's idea, although it derived from an inside joke back from their, like, I think it was like senior week while they were at like Ocean City. It's like high school after you graduate or whatever, you go to senior week in Ocean City and just while out for like a week or something. Right. It could have been a senior week. It could have just been like them just wiling out. He had a wild life, but they made a joke about some dirt planters on this dude's front porch that was like packed with dirt, but they had like fake flowers in them and stuff. They were like fake flowers, real dirt, and they just kept saying it the whole weekend.
I like it.
Ended up being a band name.
Yeah, and it kind of reminded me of course, between Steel Dan and a little bit of Frank Zappa.
Wow.
Was that intentional or it just happened?
I mean, I don't think it was intentional, and that's such a compliment. I mean, but
I was listening in my car and I'm like, these guys are good.
it is just very like, we wrote songs in a very raw way that like forced jazz concepts into like a pop sonetic, like into a pop scenario, I guess you would say.
Sure.
It's really hard to explain. And our singer was like a reggae-based singer, a lot of Jamiroquai influence, and then I come with like a Steely Dan background, a lot of jazz standards, 251s and stuff in there, and we also had a lot of support from really highly talented keyboard players, drummers. All three of the horn players were very good. One of them in particular, the sax player that we had to play alto sax, used to sit in with like P-Funk and stuff when they came to DC. So it was like, we didn't play a lot of shows because half the band was professional musicians. Sure. And if we were going to play a show, we had to get paid well. And I was more along the lines of like, I have a day job. I worked at PRS at the time. I was like, I'll basically play for free just to go out to bars and play shows because I loved it. But it was like, we had mouths to feed.
Right. And there's 10 guys in the band, right? You said?
Yeah, we were a 10-piece at the most, and then depending on the size of the gig, we could shrink down to a 6-piece.
Sorry, guys, but us for now.
Yeah, and those people were cool for it. I mean, we had a secondary female vocalist and a percussion player along with the drummer. We had a guy who scratched real vinyl.
Wow, really?
So it was like,
I didn't hear that.
All of that was not necessarily needed for every gig, but when we played the big shows, we brought everybody.
Yeah, for sure. And how many horns did you guys have in there?
There was 3. We had
sax, right?
Yeah, we had alto sax, trumpet, and tenor sax.
Nice, good. Yeah, I was blown away by the music. And how long did you play with them, or how long did you guys?
I played with them from 2012 until I got the job at Taylor in 2020. So about 8 years.
So you had to go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I broke up the band. I'm sorry, guys, if you're watching this.
How many albums did you guys make?
We had one EP where it was 5 songs, and then we made completely organic, like radio surfing mixes in between each one.
Right.
So it sounded like you were kind of like searching through radio
Oh, is that
stations.
right?
And
That's
like
cool,
all
man.
the stations that you like cut through to get there, we made ourselves in like our own ways. So there's like banjo playing and like monster truck rallies and like all kinds of stuff going on. And our singer played in popular bands before us and knew some of the radio personalities that were locally.
Right.
So we got to fit in some of the radio personalities, like introducing us as if we were like a big band, when really we were just like
Wow.
a small band. But it was cool to have like
Nice.
you know, Rich Fisher and Nisi from HFS and the HF Festival and stuff, like talking about our band. It was a good start, even though it never really like equated to anything major.
So you guys were having or getting airplay at the time.
We did. We had some local stations that would play us and stuff. 103.1 WRNR, shout out. They were awesome. I think they were probably the main one that played us.
And this was back in Maryland.
This was back in Maryland. And then other than that, it was like we still have a Spotify station,
Right.
or a radio
Yeah.
station,
It sounded really fresh.
and SoundCloud stuff.
Yeah. It sounded really fresh and very very uncommon these days, to be honest.
I think it was eclectic, and it was like
Yeah.
it was because it was a democracy to write the music, and we all came from different musical backgrounds. So we had everything from like grinding soul music to like
Right.
breakbeat jazz stuff to like almost like pop, like rock songs. in a way.
Yeah. So who was the main songwriter for that band, music wise?
Our singer wrote his own lyrics, and then the keyboard player and myself wrote most of the music.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
So guys, check out Fake Flowers, Real Dirt on Spotify, and features Dave playing the guitar, right?
Yeah, make fun of that.
I wouldn't say that. Yeah, because I like the musical arrangement. You don't have anything like that these days, you know.
I miss it.
Yeah.
I miss it.
Maybe eventually you're gonna consider going back playing in bands again, right?
Yeah, I think so. I have a firstborn on the way in like the next 2 weeks or so. So I think the band is gonna wait another year. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have some time off work where I get to hang out with the baby, and I'll probably be playing more guitar than I would normally.
Well, congratulations, Dave. So how would you describe your personal style of blues or jazz guitar playing? And what elements do you feel define your sound?
That's a good question.
Right.
I think that, like I was saying, I just kind of picked up stuff all the way. I think it's really important to plagiarize when you're playing music. Like, learn other people's licks, copy them, learn their songs from start to finish. Like, a lot of stuff that you wouldn't think that's cool because you're hearing it is that cool when you go to play it. And you're like, oh wow, this is actually way cooler than I thought. So a lot of the stuff that I have is actually like bits and pieces from other people that I've literally just stolen from them and then just like tweaked in certain ways. And then I end up with all this kind of new sounding stuff that is not necessarily new, but not anything that other people have played. You just kind of like write your own book as you go, I guess.
Right. So there's nothing wrong about copying them, right?
I, as a guitar teacher for a long time, like I stress to copy people. Like if you can force yourself to play other styles that you weren't previously comfortable with, it's going to open doors for you.
Right. Good to hear that. So what are some of the key techniques you utilize in your playing? For example, your slide guitar, or finger picking, or bending, or applying vibrato. You know,
it's a total evolution. Like you got to start out by just, the first stuff I teach people is just like play a major scale. And like that's the basis of all music. And
Major scale.
yeah. And like not just play it, but like play it really cleanly in a musical way to where there's like a good time to it. Play it to a metronome. Don't just like play it to where the notes are like muffled and sound like, you know, you have to like own it when you play. Even the simple stuff is important to own. But after that, you just develop techniques and you learn different techniques. A lot of that is why I was saying like you should learn other people's music, because it forces you to learn techniques that you don't know already. And that's really what it's about.
Right.
Learn stuff that you don't know how to do and just keep doing it and keep doing it. And eventually you'll look behind you and be like, oh man, like I could never do any of that before. And now like I'm looking forward and you keep going forward. So you hear a lick or something in a song, like YouTube it. Nowadays you just YouTube it, figure it out, you know what I mean? And there are no secret practice methods or like there are no shortcuts. It's like the baseball season. It's 162 games and there are no Cinderellas. You gotta go out there and you gotta learn how to hit a fastball or else you're never gonna hit a fastball.
Because there's certain techniques like bending, you know, you have your
well, bending is kind of like it's almost like your voice. It's like it's similar to singing in that your voice is going to get up to a pitch to where you know you hear it, and if you're off, it's going to sound bad. Like if you're, you know what I mean? Like you notice that immediately that you've been too far, and it's
too sharp.
It's just the product of you doing it over and over and over. And eventually, it doesn't really matter what guitar you're playing, what gauge string it is. It's like your voice. And that you're going to bend until you hear that perfect note that you're going for. And then, you know, that's simplistically what it is.
Right. So you don't really rely on equipment or gear.
No, that's just totally your ear and your feel.
I think gear is like, it's just like a tool, right?
Right. Gear is
to get you there, you know.
It's to enhance what you're already able to do. Like if you want to hear how good an electric guitar sounds, then play it when it's not plugged in.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
That's it.
You're gonna hear how it resonates, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you give it those bends. You know what I mean? Hear it, and how good you can make that thing sound just by itself that's when gear and quality signal and all of that just makes you sound that much better.
Right, because some people are relying on pedals, maybe amps. They spend too much time. But they kind of like forget about their fingers, how they produce the sound coming out of their fingers. Right? Yeah.
Totally. I used to go see like some people off the Danny Gatton Trail play at this place, Chick Hall Surf Club in DC, and they did hillbilly jazz every other Thursday. And one of the Telecaster players that used to show up there, I forgot his name, forgive me, he used to play a Squire.
Oh, a Squire.
He was just a Tele Squire. He was just, I mean,
it doesn't really matter.
Just a nasty guitar player. And I would just be like, this just proves that it doesn't matter. Like, none of it matters. Like, this guy will play whatever you give him, and he's going to run you under the table.
That's funny. But it's real. I mean, it's reality, you know?
Great.
Right. I remember Ted Nugent. You know him, right? Ted Nugent.
Yeah.
He tried to plug in to one of Ed's rig, Eddie Van Halen, right? Eddie Van Halen. So, but unfortunately, he sounded just like him at the end. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because you are who you are. Fun fact, I've actually gotten to play the white PRS that Ted Nugent
Are you
toured
serious?
with.
Wow.
Because he played PRS and was like, he was a signature artist for a while there.
Yeah, for a long time, right?
Yeah. So Paul Smith has this like archive of guitars. And one of the cool things he did early on when PRS was like only 200 people or something, now they're like 400 or something, is we would do meetings in the break room where he would break out all these guitars. And like different departments would get to go to the break rooms and just like play the first Dragon guitar that was ever made, or the Ted Nugent, or like I got to play a 1956 Gibson Gold Top.
Wow,
It
cool.
was like, to this day, I'm like, I'll never play something that expensive ever again.
Right. Was that the white guitar that had those zebra stripe on the finish?
I don't think it was a zebra stripe guitar, no, but it was the iconic white, the white PRS custom that he had, yeah.
John Mayer is a phenomenal guitar player.
Absolutely out of bounds.
Right. Yeah, I saw him jamming with Slash on YouTube. They were doing ZZ Top's Lagrange, right?
Oh, nice. Nice.
But I think it kind of like, it's one of those what you call head cutting, right? Head cutting duels.
Yeah. I didn't really think that highly of John Mayer before he came to PRS and I saw him play in person, and I was like, what?
Wow.
I was like, I had no idea that he was just like
You saw him.
a complete animal.
Right.
Like he is very good. Like he's good in an unorthodox way that like you could tell that he's trained, but he's also just like a lot of stuff that he does is like just him. Like it's just like he made his own kind of style in a lot of ways. So I gotta give it up to the guy. Like as much as the ballady stuff that he has and stuff, like he's a monster.
Right. And he has that PRS signature guitar, right?
Yeah, he does. The Silver Sky.
Right. It's got the Strat style body with the signature PRS neck, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the way that it went is he was trying to get certain things done to his signature guitars at Fender, and I think Fender was a very traditional mindset to where they were like didn't want to change things too much, and you know, and I agree with that, and I think I think John looked to, or I'm not sure if John reached out to Paul or Paul reached out to John, or if they just met each other and started talking, but John came to PRS and worked with Paul for like 2 years to just come out with that one guitar, and like they were like working a lot together, like all the time. So it's not just like, you know, when it came out, everyone was like, "Oh, PRS just made a Fender." There are so many things that separate that guitar from a Fender, you know, and they can be good or bad things depending on what you want out of the guitar, but it's just a very different guitar.
So when did they release that model?
That's a good question. Probably like 2018 or 19.
Right.
It was before I left for
not
Taylor.
Too long ago, right?
Before I left for Taylor, you know, and I started Taylor in 2020. So I mean, I remember working on John Mayer guitars. So that was a while ago that they started that, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you did work on the productions.
A little bit, yeah.
Cool, man. Dave, so do you have written original music, which you did, right? And when you write or compose a song, what typically comes first for you when writing? The lyrics, the melody, or the riff?
I'll start out with either chords or a riff. Yeah. And honestly, a lot of things that I've written have been based off mistakes. And what I mean by that is like I'll be playing a song that I already know or something, and like maybe accidentally hit like a different note that kind of like sends it in a different direction, and I'm like, oh man, like this chord progression could be totally different if you went to this major 7 afterwards, or you know, whatever. And I would just expand on it, and then like in a way, like, because I'm big into improvisation. I love the idea of like being able to hear something and then play it. That's kind of what I taught as a guitar teacher, like how to hear things and then understand where to go from there to play them. So in a way, some of the stuff that I wrote, like I was just like thinking about it in my head, and I'm like, I can hear it, I just can't play it yet. Like, where is it? And I'm like looking for the chord, and then finally I'll like find it and be like, oh, this is what I was hearing in my head.
Right. Okay. So you would start with some chords.
Most of the time, I'm starting with chords when I play stuff. Yeah.
And take it from there, right?
Yeah.
Good. What you have right now?
So this is a JA-15.
JA-15. Okay.
Yeah, it's their jazz guitar kind of, and it has a little bit of that thicker, wider string approach to it. It almost kind of feels like it almost feels like a Powers electric neck on here.
Are you serious?
How it's a little wider, and it doesn't have that normal PRS feel to where it's like really skinny or anything. It's kind of just fatter in your hands.
Yeah.
And it's got good pop to it because it's got this kind of the screw stop.
Right.
Like you just kind of hear more an acoustic, like that sonic resonance.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is cool. This is kind of like a one-off guitar. Like I said, I brought this today because it's like closest to an acoustic that I have, and I've been playing a lot of acoustic. But yeah, I have other guitars from PRS. Like I have a solid body that's just like one-piece mahogany, and then I also have the Alder version of their Strat, which is like the 305. It has a 25.5-inch scale length, 3-way or 5-way, and then just 3 single coils. And then like my baby, I also brought, which is a hollow body.
Sure. And it has F holes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Screw stop, F holes.
And what
is volume and tone, 3-way.
Right. And what pickups do you have in there?
These are what they call the 5310s, which are a low wound, warm sounding pickup.
And they're made by PRS.
They're made by PRS, yeah.
Nice. Are the pickups made there or somewhere else?
They are. They're made right in Stevensville.
Nice. Good. They're playing there, Dave. I can feel them one of the great bands from the 70s.
Yeah. They're like extremely chordy, but extremely musical.
Right.
Like they use so many different chords in their song, but they're all incredibly musical.
Definitely.
Nothing is overused.
Definitely. I was going to ask you, who is your favorite guitar players who played for Steely Dan?
Man, that's tough. There's a whole bunch of them that have gone through that revolving door. So I don't even really want to like call anybody out. I will just say that there's there's a couple players like Larry Carlton who played the solos on like Kid Charlemagne, and shout out because Kid Charlemagne is one of my favorite songs, and apparently, and I don't know if this is true, maybe I'm lying, but I've heard that Larry Carlton only took one take on the outro or intro, and then the other was 2 takes. And
wow.
That just blows my mind. Because back then it was just like, there's no like dressing it up. Like you play it and then you're live and then you do it. And apparently, another fun fact, they were really trying to find a good soloist for the solo in Peg. And there was a handful of great guitar players who put down solos, and they ended up going with this one guy. I think his first name was Jake, but I'm terrible with like names and music trivia. And he was they were like, that's the cut. That's the solo. Like, we're using that. So how the Peg solo is very unorthodox, it's because of the guy who played that solo was just like this unorthodox guitar player who was.
So his name is Jake, you were saying?
I'm pretty sure his name was Jake, but I could be wrong. I'll have to Google it.
Because I remember Randall Smith was one of them. Jeff Skunk Baxter is one of them. And I didn't know that Larry Carlton played with Steely Dan in the studios.
Yeah, he has the Kid Charlemagne solos.
Oh my goodness. That's a good solo right there.
It's amazing solo. That song is awesome. It's one of my favorite songs. That's actually where I got that chord progression that goes from it's actually like it's a dominant chord that goes into a minor, like half step right below. So playing like a B flat dominant into an A minor, and it just settles so well into that.
Right. You got those chords down. How did you learn that, basically?
Steely Dan helped with a lot of chords for me. They do a lot of major minor chords where it's like in inversions, to where it's like kind of a simple chord to play, but you're just not used to it because it has a different root or whatever. Like Josie has a lot of those chords where they play like the like those are all inversions to where it's like a normal chord with a different root in a way.
Got it. Cool. Because there's Donald Fagen and who is the other guy again? I'm sorry.
Donald Fagen and I'm drawing a blank.
God, I forgot his name. Right. He was the guitar player for the band. Right.
Well, there's a bunch of guitar players.
I mean, his songwriting partner, right, songwriting partner.
I'm like,
right.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, man, you play amazing. You nailed it.
Yeah.
That's one thing I have admired about your playing, because these days you don't really see that in people playing this kind of music yet.
Steely Dan it's tough to play at first, but like it's super rewarding.
Remember the album the Royal Scam, right?
Yeah.
The Royal Scam.
Royal Scam. Yep.
Yeah. Good album.
Yeah, I think that's where they had is it Gold Teeth on that one, or
right?
I'm not really sure. When I found Steely Dan's catalog, it was like 2016 or something that like I sought out guitar lessons again, and I was like, I haven't had guitar lessons in a long time. I want to go take guitar lessons, and I just walked into some music store, Music and Arts, and I was like, I'm a guitar player, I play in a band, I know some jazz, is there anyone here that can help me? And I ran into this guy named Jeremy Gillis in Maryland, and he was a Steely Dan nut. And like he came out and was like,
Right.
talked to me for a little bit and picked up a guitar
Yeah.
and just played like a couple Steely Dan songs for me, and I was like, oh man, that's so cool. All those chords are really neat. And I left there and I looked on Spotify for Steely Dan, and I was just blown away with how many songs they have that are not on the radio that are just like
Wow.
amazing songs, and their catalog was just endless. So it was literally like a 3-year hole,
Sure.
just this rabbit hole that I went into. That was like, I learned all kinds of Steely Dan songs.
Right. So basically, they are a huge influence in your playing.
Yeah,
And how many albums do they have?
I have no idea. Probably like 15 or 20.
Wow.
I'm not sure.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm terrible with trivia. I'm terrible with names. But yeah, this guitar has probably seen like maybe 100 shows.
Wow. Cool. And those are stock pickups.
Stock pickups, yeah. These are just the pickups that came in the hollow body one.
So it's a US made one, I believe.
Yeah, they were originally gold plated, but like I've literally worn the gold off of the inside of here. Like this bolt has the gold worn off of it and stuff.
Right.
It's like now it's hybrid hardware because it's gold and silver.
So basically, so this is your. It was built in your own specs, right?
Yeah. Well, no, it was a production guitar that I got to build myself, and then pick anyone who did stuff that I didn't know how to do. Like I didn't know how to spray guitars. or
Right.
anything,
So you were there on the floor building this guitar.
Yeah. Like I sanded this and did the finish sanding on the neck and body, and
Amazing.
got to pick who did the stain and talk
Right.
about how we wanted the stain to look. And
Right. And tell me about the top. What is it?
so this is flame maple. This is
Flame maple, guys.
an East Coast flame maple top, which
Sure.
typically tend to be a little bit more uniform when they're flamed, and they're also a little bit whiter. The West Coast maple tends to be a little bit more wavy in the flame,
Right.
and it's a little bit more yellowish of a color.
Yellowish.
So PRS used to designate the East Coast maple because it was more uniform and a little stronger figure for their higher end models. And now I don't think that's a thing. Now I think it's just all put together in one.
Got it. And this was built in how long ago?
This is a 2007.
Wow, it's that old.
Yep.
Okay. Is it heavy? Can you carry it? Okay. It's a decent weight.
Yep.
Not too heavy. Right. Nice, beautiful. And it's a set neck, right?
Yep. Set neck, and it has a piezo system in it. So this is actually a 3-way toggle.
Are you kidding me?
So if you have it all the way in
Right.
the top position here, you get all piezo. You sound a little bit more acoustic. But if you put it into the all electric, then you're going to get pickups here. It's just a different
Sure.
sound, and then you can actually mix them. If you put it in the middle, then you can blend how much piezo you want into it.
Wow.
You get kind of like a more in between sound. So you get the electric tone through, but you also get kind of like that shimmer.
Sure.
Or
So when you say piezo, so there's a pickup built underneath, right?
Yeah, that's correct. It's actually connected to each of these saddles, in
Right.
here. And it's similar to
Wow.
what Taylor has
Sure.
for like their ES only. The piezo actually operates on these pieces of crystal.
Sure.
And the crystal is it's so hard that it has this dynamic like rebound to it, I guess you could say. And that's how like LR bags and all of those guys that
Right.
make the piezo or piezo. It's kind of how they work.
So when you're on the piezo mode, Can you plug this directly to an acoustic amp?
Yeah, there's actually two inputs. So you have what's called a mix mag,
Look at that.
which I can control whether it's piezo or not.
Wow.
And then you have the constant piezo. So I can plug this into a second amp that will automatically be all piezo all the time.
To an acoustic amp, right?
Yep. Or whatever you want.
Or direct.
Yeah, you can go direct in and it'll still sound acoustic.
Nice.
Or you can put it in an acoustic amp and it'll sound probably even more acoustic.
Right.
I don't know, I've never had an acoustic amp. And I've never really used this in shows, to be honest. I've always used the mic mag and very rarely I will even use the piezo.
So this model was in production.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yep.
I love it, man. I love it.
This was a great example of something that I could have never afforded unless I got to make it for PRS.
Right.
Yeah.
So if it didn't work there, you won't even get this guitar, right?
Yeah, I think this cost me like $750.
Oh, wow. That's a steal.
Yeah, well, if you want a $750 guitar that costs $5,000 normally, then go work for PRS for 2 years.
I was gonna say. Awesome, man. Awesome, dude. Dave, going back to our typical questions for beginners, how much time should a beginner or aspiring guitar player realistically dedicate to practicing each day or week?
So I always say it's better to practice more frequently, like in the days realm, than it is for putting in hours in a day. And the example I'll use is like you can have a guitar player who plays once a week for like 4 or 5 hours.
Once a week.
And that's great, but by the time that once a week comes around again, like you've already lost a little bit and your progression is not going to be as good as if you would play a half hour a day for every day. It's because every day you're getting coordinated and you're getting up onto that plane to where it's like you need to, when you practice, you need to get to as good as you are and then try to get better within that session. And if you always just do that, it will be inevitable that you get better. However, that's really hard to do if you only play once a week. Even if you play all day, that's still hard. And you're gonna get better. If you play all day, 1 day a week, you're gonna get better.
Right.
But if you play a little bit every day, that's, in my opinion, that's the key. And play stuff that you're bad at.
At this half hour you were saying.
Half hour is plenty.
Guys, you heard that, okay? And should beginners learn to read standard notation or tablature?
That is completely what you want to get out of music. If you're going to school for music, you need to learn how to read.
Okay.
You need to, period.
Right.
If you're a weekend warrior who wants to play in a band and just get better and maybe like be able to play songs that they hear on the radio, then tabs are going to get you a really long way. Reading music is a completely other beast. And to be honest, you'll find that many great guitar players do not know how to read music. They have just spent so much time learning the flavors and learning how to play that like they learn with their ears, they learn from other people, they learn from watching videos, and you become a musician like that just by being able to hear it. I think reading music has a lot of benefits.
Oh yeah.
And tablature is not going to give you the same output. If you've never heard the song, tablature is useless.
Right.
But if you have a piece of music and you've never heard the song, you can still play the song.
Sure, because I think reading music will teach you the time signature, the correct timing.
Exactly.
That is time signature.
You'll understand crescendo and like legato and
exactly,
everything like that.
Yeah. But from what I heard, reading music takes a little time to get them down, right?
Yeah, I was never good at it. I could never sight read. To this
Right,
day,
right.
I can't sit down in front of a music sheet and like play you whatever. Like I could sit there and figure it out,
Sure.
but that's just not what I taught. I did not teach to read music when I taught guitar.
But when you were teaching, were you teaching your students the basic stuff, or?
Yeah, mostly. I mean, I was teaching them whatever they want to learn. So I mean, I was of the mindset that if I'm going to have people that want to learn guitar, forcing them into learning how to read music and like how to do all the stuff that's like kind of boring, I didn't do it. I would divide the day up in half, and I would tell them like this. I'd be like, for the first half of this lesson, half hour, we're going to learn how to play the major scale and then play the open chord over it, and
Major scale.
and we'll learn a couple of other open chords.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get into arpeggios if you're
Sure.
getting to that point. And then the other half is about them. It's about what makes them want to play guitar. What do you want to learn? Because if it's not something that they want to learn, then they're going to just put it in their closet. Because guitar is hard.
So
you need rewards.
Right. So you would do that towards the end of the lesson. All right. So what do you want to learn? Right.
Yeah, break it like almost in half to where it was like the first half is stuff that I'm going to teach you that are fundamentals that you're going to learn, that you're going to use to learn other stuff that you want to learn.
Okay.
And then the back half is tell me a song that you like that you think you could probably play. And then I'll listen to it and be like, okay, well, this is how to play it. And
Right.
let's work on it.
Makes sense. What are some tips for performing in front of others, even for friends and family?
Experience.
Experience.
You're going to be nervous at first. There's no way around it. Like, I wish I could sit here and be like, oh, just don't be nervous. You know what I mean? Just like go out and trust your stuff and kill it. But like, that doesn't work when you stand on the stage in front of,
It's not,
X amount of people. Like, it's perfectly natural to be nervous. And if you could harness it and like use it to your advantage, like sometimes some nervousness like helps, you know what I mean? Make sure that you're practicing a little bit before you play. And like the thing to remember is if you're up on stage playing for other people, it's because they don't know how to do something that you're doing. And they're going to be impressed if you can even just be average for yourself. You're going to be so critical of yourself, and a lot of people just fold under that pressure because they're over analyzing themselves, and that's just like a death spiral. Like, be happy with where you're at and go out there and make mistakes and not care. Like, you make a mistake, just keep going and like forget it. Like, I see some people make a mistake and it just ruins them, and I'm like, you got to talk to those people and be like, listen, man, like half the people out there didn't even know you made a mistake. And it like ruined half your song.
They have no idea.
Like, just make a mistake and then just like go right back to not making a mistake and like just forget about it immediately.
Right. And most of them are drunk anyway, So,
most of the people are there to have a good time, and like when you're starting out in like the garage band that's getting their first gigs, they're listening to like 25% of what you're playing. So chances are they're not going to hear your mistake anyway. You know what I mean? They're there to have fun. Like, they're going to give you props just because you're in a band and you're up there doing it.
Right. They're not out there to judge you, right?
No one's judging you up there, man. If anything, people are respecting you because you're up there.
Right. So, guys, practice. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, just practice. You'll get better at it. You'll get better at playing in front of people.
Totally. Yeah. So what exciting new horizons are you exploring in your musical journey? Are you going back or collaborating with other artists? I'd love to hear about it.
It's a good question, and I think that I came to California as a pure electric guitar player, and after working for Taylor and bringing home like some true acoustic guitars, I've really gained this appreciation for acoustic playing and specifically like bluegrass playing and flat picking that I could never do before. And now I'm like, you know, I can entertain myself enough to do it. I wouldn't call myself a bluegrass player, but like it's fun for me to do now. So I've been playing with Eric Gallum, who works in repair and came to Taylor from Fender. He's an awesome guitar player, and I go over there sometimes. And
So you guys jam?
Yeah, we play some like bluegrass and just kind of like play until our fingers hurt.
Wow, that is the key element.
It's a key element, but it does hurt, man. Like playing acoustic for 4 hours, like
Right.
outside when it's chilly or whatever.
right.
It's like.
Dave, so that was a treat, man.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Can't thank you enough, And great playing there, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And, all right, guys. Till next time, we'll see you again. All right, Dave. So it's time for you to play some song again. And we're rolling, guys. Dave playing peg, but I still dance.